Katie and welcome back to my booktube channel. For today's video, I will be doing a reading vlog of the books I'm scared to read. I figured if there's any time of year where I should face my fears, it would be the month of October. So I will be reading some books that intimidate me, and they're either super thick or they're just super hyped up, and I've heard so much about them that I'm kind of scared to see what I think. And this is my little stack of books that I'm hoping to read in this vlog. I'm not sure about how many of these I will actually get to, but the first one is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. And I've never read a V.E. Schwab book before. I've heard amazing things. I know pretty much all of her books are super popular and everybody loves them. So I feel like that's one of the reasons I'm super intimidated. I've never read her books before, but they're just so hyped up. Everybody loves them. So I'm worried that I will be the one person that doesn't like them for some reason. And also I've heard that this book is a pretty slow, like, descriptive read. And that's not something I typically enjoy. I usually enjoy faster paced books, and I usually don't really enjoy books that are super descriptive, so I'm not really sure, but the synopsis is still so interesting to me, and I really want to give this one a chance. I feel like this would be a great first V.E. Schwab book. All I really know about this book is that I think it starts in the 1700s, and it follows this girl who I think makes some kind of deal with somebody. I'm not sure who it is, but basically she is able to now live forever, but everybody forgets that she exists. I think as soon as she leaves the room or stops having a conversation with the person, they just forget she exists completely. And so it's about her trying to cope with that as she lives forever. And I think she ends up bumping into somebody who remembers her, as far as I can remember. I don't really know too much about it. I've been trying to avoid spoilers because everybody's talking about this book, so anytime I see the cover, I just keep scrolling. But that's what I know. I'm very intrigued. I feel like I might start with this one because it's, I think, the smallest out of all the ones that I'm hoping to read. So we will see how this one goes. The next one is Crescent City by Sarah J. Maas, which I found out that Crescent City is actually the name of the series, and the book itself is called House of Earth and Blood, which I thought the book itself was Crescent City. So, you learn something every day. But obviously, this is the first book in a different series than ACOTAR and all of that. I've read the first two books in the ACOTAR series, and that's really all I've read from Sarah J. Maas, but this book is thick. And also, I've heard kind of the same thing, that this is really, really descriptive. There's a lot of information being thrown at you. There's a ton of world building. I've heard the beginning is very, very slow because of the world building. So I'm kind of nervous because typically if I am not drawn in for the very beginning or the first 100 pages, it's really hard for me to continue the book. But I really do have high hopes for this one. I feel like the synopsis sounds really, really good. Again, I feel like it has the potential for a really great romance. I love romance from Sarah J. Maas, so I really have high hopes for this one. I'm just scared because it's super, super thick. Yeah, this is 800 pages, so that might be the longest book I've ever read if I successfully complete this, so that in itself is very intimidating. So what I know is that this follows a girl named Bryce who I think all of her closest friends are murdered, and the person who's accused of doing the murders is behind bars, but then the murders start up again, so she's determined to solve that case. And Hunt is a notorious fallen angel who basically all he wants is his freedom, I think, and he gets offered this chance to gain his freedom if he works with Bryce and helps solve the crime and figure out who's murdering all these people. That's really all I know about it. I recognize the names. I'm sure I've seen fan art for it somewhere on the internet, but I've tried to stay away from this one as well. I don't really like knowing too much before I go into books that are super hyped up because I feel like that would ruin it for me, and so we will see how this one goes as well. I'm really nervous about this vlog. The last one is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. Again, Leigh Bardugo, very popular author. I've read the Shadow and Bone trilogy and also the Six of Crows duology, so I really enjoyed those. They weren't like my absolute favorite books, but they were enjoyable enough for me to complete both of those series. So I'm excited for this. I think this is Dark Academia, which isn't something I've really read too much of, but it really intrigues me, and I would love for this to be my first Dark Academia book. All I know is that this involves a girl named Alex who kind of falls in with the wrong crowd and her life's kind of going downhill. I think she dropped out of school, and she's offered this deal where she can go to Yale and basically go undercover and learn all these secrets about their secret societies and about these like really powerful people in that community and that school. And that's really all I know about it. Like I said, the only thing I went into this book knowing is that it is about dark academia. I feel like for some reason it's just intimidating because it's Leigh Bardugo. I've heard really great things about it, and for some reason this just reminds me of like some really scary like adult fiction novels. I don't really read adult fiction, at least not too much of it, so I usually stick to like young adult and new adult. So the fact that this reminds me of like some books I would find on like my parents' shelves just based on the cover, I feel like that in itself is intimidating. I don't really know why. I know you're not supposed to judge a book by its cover, but there's just something about this that's very intimidating to me. So we will see what happens. I'm not really sure which one of these I will start with, but the next time I see you, hopefully I will be a good chunk of the way through one of these books. Hey guys, it is now a full 24 hours since I last vlogged, and I finally decided on a book. I ended up putting it on my Bookstagram as a poll and having everybody help me choose because I'm too indecisive, and everybody decided that I should read Crescent City first. So that is the one I ended up starting with, and I am now 400 pages in, so that is a little bit over halfway, and I feel like I have a good feel for the story by now. It definitely was not as much of a slow start as I was anticipating. I thought it was going to be a huge struggle to get through the first couple hundred pages, but that was not the case. I was terrified to start, so it took me a little bit to get through the first chapter, but once I started reading, I really loved it because there is such intricate, impressive world building in here. It is so detailed, and I think maybe that's why it's hard for people to get into it, and it definitely is a lot. You are thrown a lot of information at once, and it made me feel like I needed like a little notebook beside me to take notes and write down all these important world building things, but I really enjoyed it. This is one of the most intricate worlds that I've ever read about because I don't typically read adult fantasy, so I'm not used to this level of world building, I feel like, but it is a pleasant surprise. I'm loving every second of it. It is just done really well. I do kind of wish there was like a glossary or a character guide kind of for the different types of creatures in this book. I feel like it would be nice to just have something to reference, but maybe I'll end up having like a little note card I stick in here while I'm reading just to help me understand what these types of creatures are and like what they can do. But other than that, I am really enjoying it. Also, I don't know why I was picturing this to be like an older setting. Like I thought there would be a lot more like older English words, a lot of like really big words I didn't understand, but that's not really the case. It's very descriptive and beautiful, but it's also very modern and easy to understand, so I definitely appreciate that. I don't really know why I was expecting anything different because I've read ACOTAR by Sarah J. Maas, and that was easy to understand, so I don't really know what I was expecting, but I'm really glad that this is very easy to understand and get through for me. It's also crazy to me that Sarah J. Maas can create characters that I fall in love with so quickly and I care about so quickly, because within the first 100 pages I care so deeply for these characters that if anything happens to them, I'm like devastated. So that's usually not the case. I feel like there's some books where it takes me over half the book to even kind of care about characters, so I'm not even sure why I grew so attached to them in this book, but I definitely love all the characters that we're getting to know. So now let's move on to Bryce and Hunt. I love them as characters separately. They are both so fun to read about, and I love that this is told from third person because I feel like it fits the vibe of the story so well, and you really get to see both perspectives without fully understanding them, if that makes sense. Like, we're not in their heads fully, but you still get to see all the different characters that are important to the story. So I feel like third person is the perfect choice for this book, and I love that we're watching Bryce and Hunt slowly chip away at each other's walls and kind of start to become a team. It's a reluctant team at first, but a team nonetheless, and it's really fun to watch them get to know each other and, like I said, slowly chip away at each other's walls. Their banter is so fun. It's some of the best banter I've read about in a while. I love that it starts out as like kind of hatred and distrust, and there's a lot of bite to it at the beginning, and then you slowly watch it like morph into more of like a friendship, like team vibe, and I'm sure we will watch it transform into a more romantic vibe soon, and I'm super excited. I can already see so many moments of like sexual tension. I am definitely shipping it, and one of the more recent scenes that was kind of my favorite was the shooting range scene and that whole thing. If you've read it, you know what I'm talking about. It was just super cute, and there was definitely some attraction there, and I loved that moment. Overall, I'm really loving the forced proximity that we're getting between Bryce and Hunt. The fact that he is forced to work with her and protect her is just such a cool trope. I feel like it's a trope that's, you know, I kind of didn't give enough credit before. It's not one I really thought I cared too much about, but now reading it in this book, I'm realizing that it is something I genuinely enjoy and I will probably look for in more books. And I always love finding new tropes to search for in books, so that's really exciting for me. Also, I'm surprised by how much I'm starting to care about the investigation itself, because at the beginning I feel like it was really interesting, but I was more invested in the relationships in the book, whether that was the friendships or any potential romances, but now I feel like I'm also starting to genuinely care about the plot and the investigation as well, so that's really interesting for me. I usually just focus on the romance, so I love that I'm invested in that as well, and I will definitely be reading more of this tonight. I just wanted to give you guys an update. It was really hard for me to give you guys an update because I didn't want to put the book down, but I had to stop to make dinner anyway, so I figured I would give you some of my initial thoughts while I'm halfway through, and then I will probably not update you guys again until tomorrow, but hopefully I will get through this one by the end of tomorrow because I am loving it. Alright, you guys, it is now the next day. I just got off of work and I actually was able to get some reading done during work, which was a blessing and also a curse because I could not focus on my job because I was so invested in this book. But I am now a little over 600 pages in. I just finished chapter 66, and this book I feel like is going to break me because I'm so emotionally invested in these characters. I feel like I keep saying that, but I don't really know how I became so invested so fast, but literally chapter 62 made me cry. If you know what happens in that chapter, you know what I'm talking about. It was so sad and heartbreaking, and it was so hard to read, but at the same time, I couldn't put it down, and it just broke my soul. And then a few chapters later is chapter 66, which also broke my heart again, which is why I had to stop reading and come tell you guys about my thoughts because I needed a second before I kept reading. But that chapter broke me for a completely different reason, but it's just playing with my emotions at this point. I feel like Sarah J. Maas is great at like throwing all my emotions around and taking me on this like roller coaster, and I definitely was not prepared. I don't know how to feel after that chapter. I'm feeling so many emotions. All I know is that I feel like Bryce just needs like the biggest hug ever. She's been through so much in this entire book, and I just want to hug her. I feel like she needs a good friend, she needs some support, and she just needs a bunch of hugs. So that's how I'm feeling right now. I definitely will be finishing this book today if I can help it. I only have a little less than 200 pages left, so I will definitely be finishing this. All I know is I'm not really sure who to trust anymore in this book, and that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to spoil anything for you guys, but I am just going to proceed with caution because I feel like I'm just going to cry again. This book is crazy. The world building is great. The characters are great, and I feel like I'm way too invested at this point to even think about putting this down. I finished it. I finally finished it. It took me about 3 days, which honestly went quicker than I was expecting. I thought this would take me like at least a week because I'm pretty sure this is the longest book I've ever read at like 800 pages. But I kind of flew through it because I was way more invested than I expected to be. And I definitely am giving this book 5 stars. The world building caught me off guard. It's like the best world building I've probably ever read. It's so intricate, and I just kept wanting to learn more and more. And yes, there's moments where a lot of information is thrown at you, but I feel like it's still done in such an interesting way and still makes me want to learn more. So I was having a great time with the world building, and I know that throughout the rest of the series it's just going to get better and better. And there's also a lot of characters in here that at first were a little difficult to keep straight, but by the end I knew who everybody was. I had very strong feelings about all of them, whether they were positive or negative, and it was just done so well. Also, there is so much action in here, and it was so fun. I love the action scenes that were basically like sprinkled throughout the book, but then like the last 200 pages were packed with like intense battle scenes and action scenes, and I honestly was exhausted from reading it. I feel like I never wanted this book to end, and I genuinely can't believe it's over, but at the same time, I'm so exhausted after the last 200 pages because I felt like I was right there with Bryce in all of those battle scenes, even though I was really just on my couch reading. So I definitely will enjoy a little bit of a break after this, but I'm kind of sad that we're going to have to wait till February for the sequel. I think they just released the cover, and it looks stunning. I'm obsessed. It's like a blue cover, so it'll look great next to this book, and it just looks so great. And with how much I love this and how amazing that cover is, I don't know if I'll be able to wait till February. I guess I don't have a choice. I really don't have a choice, but I really wish February would come super fast. But I genuinely enjoyed this way more than I expected to. I was really scared to read it, as you guys know, but I am pleasantly surprised. It definitely lives up to the hype. It exceeds the hype, and it was really great. I honestly expected there to be more romance in here than there was. I thought there would be a lot of smut in here just because of how the 2 books in ACOTAR that I've read went. That wasn't really English, but based on what I read in ACOTAR, I thought there'd be a lot more smut in here, and there's definitely not. You still get romance, but it is a slow burn. It is like the slowest slow burn, and it's done really well, and you still get enough that you're invested in the romance as well, but there definitely was not smut in here, and I mean, there's a little bit, but I was very surprised, but I still loved every second of it. This book played with my emotions. I was happy. I was like heartbroken and crushed. I felt betrayed and angry, like all the emotions. I've definitely felt all of them while reading this 800-page book. Like I said, definitely a 5-star read. I definitely understand the hype, and I'm really glad that I read this one. I'm not sure which book I will be moving on to next, either Ninth House or The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. I will probably read a cute graphic novel really quick before I dive into another really intense fantasy, just because I need a little bit of a break between this and anything else, but I'm super excited to dive into those 2, especially because this turned out so well. So maybe there's no need to be scared. We'll see. It is now Friday night, so like a whole 24 hours after I last updated, but I finally made a decision and picked The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue as my next book. And I have never read a V.E. Schwab book before, so I'm not really sure how this is going to go. I mean, I am already like 160 pages in, so I guess I already know kind of how I feel, but I wasn't really sure what to expect. This is another one, obviously, that I was really scared to read, or it would not be in this vlog. But I feel like this book is super hyped up. It has like a 4.2 or a 4.4 star rating on Goodreads, and anything above a 4.0 I feel like is usually super hyped up, so that made me a little nervous. And also I feel like I just don't read a lot of adult fantasy or adult fiction in general, which all of these books in this vlog fit those genres, so that makes me nervous because I usually stick to young adult or sometimes new adult. So for some reason that's very intimidating to me. And also I don't really know too much about this book. I feel like I tried to not see any spoilers, but all I really know is that this is about a girl who made a bargain with, I think, like a god or something, and basically she ends up being immortal, but in return, like, her payment was the fact that nobody will remember her. As soon as they leave the room, they forget that she exists, and she has to live with that for the rest of her life. But then, like, 300 years after she made that bargain, she bumps into somebody that actually remembers her, and it changes, like, everything for her. So that's really all I knew about this book. That's kind of all the synopsis says, but I kind of managed to avoid everything else, which was kind of great. And honestly, I thought that this was going to be a very slow read, and that is true. This is one of the slowest books I've read in a long time. I typically don't really enjoy slow reads, and I'm honestly really struggling to get through this book, but I've heard a lot of people say the same thing. It's very, very slow at the beginning, but it's like worth it if you push through. So I'm trying really hard to continue reading and to find that spark I need to want to finish this book. I am like 160 pages in, like I said, and finally we meet the character that remembers her, which, again, not a spoiler, it's in the synopsis. And I feel like that made me a little bit more interested. It adds like a little twist that I think I needed, but I'm still not fully invested. So I'm hoping within the next like 50 pages, something will really draw me in, because I am like on and off considering DNFing this book, but I know so many people would be disappointed if I didn't finish it. So I'm trying really, really hard to enjoy it, but it's such an interesting concept that I feel like I want to keep reading, but I don't know. It's just, I think the writing just might not be for me. It's very like flowery and descriptive, and that's something I typically stay away from. I like a lot more like action-packed and like blunt writing, I think. I like a little bit of description, but this is like mostly description, and that's something that makes me a little bored, which I know kind of sucks. So I don't know if it's just this book or if it's all of V.E. Schwab's books, but whether or not I enjoy this one, I definitely want to give another V.E. Schwab book a chance, because she is such a well-known, popular author. But anyway, my only thoughts so far are that I'm kind of bored. It's really hard to get through so far, but I am enjoying that we get to flash back to the 1700s where she first made the bargain, and we also get present day for her, which is 2014. So I do like that the chapters kind of alternate between that, because you really get to see how much she's changed over time and just the way she's gotten used to her new life and how much it's really affected her. So I do really enjoy that part, but other than that, I'm kind of struggling. So we will see. I'm going to try to read at least another 50 pages before I go to bed tonight. I am on section, I think part 3. I just started part 3, so that's where I'm at right now, but those are my only updates. I'm a little disappointed so far, but we'll see how it goes. Hey guys, it is now Sunday night. I didn't vlog at all yesterday because I barely made any progress in this book, but I finally finished it. But before I get into that, I just wanted to say that I am running out of time to get this vlog out, so I won't be reading Ninth House in this vlog, but I will definitely talk about it in my 31 books I read in 31 days, and I'm also hoping to do a couple other vlogs that are kind of like readathons. So if I end up reading it for one of those, I will include it in that. I just am running out of time to put it in this video because it took me a long time to get through this book. I don't really know how I feel about it. I think I'm giving this book 3 stars. I honestly feel kind of indifferent about it, which is so weird. I thought I was either going to really love it or really hate it, and I just am kind of indifferent. I don't really have any strong feelings about it. I feel like it was really, really slow, which I try really hard to avoid books like that because I like faster paced books. I'm not really good with slow paced ones, and that's really all this was. And also the writing is very, very descriptive, which doesn't usually work for me, and it didn't really work for me in this book either. So that doesn't really mean that this is not a good book. It still obviously is a great book if so many people love it. It just, those 2 main parts of the book are things I usually don't enjoy, and I didn't really enjoy in here. It honestly gives me the same vibes as The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern, which also is super hyped up and a lot of people love, but I really did not enjoy either for the same reasons. It was very slow, very descriptive, and like flowery, and it didn't really work for me. So if you liked Night Circus, you probably will enjoy this one as well. I thought the concept was really, really cool, and I did enjoy the overall like plot points, but other than that, I really wasn't too invested. I feel like the only reason I kept reading this was because people said that it got better, and also I was reading it for this vlog, so I wanted to have the full experience, but I probably will not be buying my own copy of this, and I didn't really enjoy it too much. I feel like, I don't know. Like I said, I'm just indifferent, so I don't really have a lot of thoughts. I like just finished it before coming in here, so I also haven't really had time to process it, but I did really enjoy that at the end there were some good plot twists that I didn't really see coming. One of them I had a little bit of an idea, like there's something going on with that detail. I'm trying so hard to not spoil anything. One of them I kind of saw coming, but the other ones caught me by surprise, so I did enjoy that, and I think the ending was pretty good. I didn't think it was very like satisfying. It kind of left me feeling very unsettled, but I think that was kind of the point. So I think it was very well done. I just, you know, this one's not really for me. Like I said, it took me a lot longer than I was expecting to read Crescent City and The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, so I did not end up getting to Ninth House, but I hope you guys enjoyed seeing my thoughts and my little book adventure I did while reading these books that I was very terrified to read. I'm really glad that I got these 2 big ones off of my TBR. They've been on my TBR for a while, so it's nice to finally check these 2 off of that list. But if you did enjoy this vlog, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. I would really, really appreciate it. And if you do subscribe, please click the notification bell so you know when I upload next. Thank you guys so much for watching. I can't wait to see you in my next video.